Have you ever felt like you're just nailing it at work? You're the leader, you make the calls, everyone looks to you.
Right. Totally in charge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you get home, and somehow that same energy, that same decisiveness, it just causes problems. Maybe friction with your partner.
Or maybe you're just swimming in relationship advice, trying to figure out how love is supposed to work, and you just feel stuck.
Yeah. And what if the answer wasn't what we usually hear? What if it was something a bit countercultural, maybe even surprising?
That's exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at Suzanne Venker's book, The Alpha Female's Guide to Men and Marriage, How Love Works.
Okay.
And her core idea, basically, is that a lot of modern cultural messages, maybe even the ones meant to empower women, might actually be making marriage harder.
Harder? How so?
Especially for women who are, those natural leaders, the successful ones, the alphas.
And Venker, she's not just pulling this out of thin air, right?
Yeah.
She's done her homework.
Oh, yeah. She's a cultural critic. Says she's looked at hundreds of sources over 15 years. Marriage, relationships, feminism, work-life stuff.
Plus, she's lived it. Married twice, she says.
Right. First time for 4 years, and now she's been married 18 years to her husband, Bill. They've got 2 kids.
And she admits she is an alpha female.
Totally. She's upfront about it, says she learned all this the hard way, which makes her perspective, pretty interesting.
So our goal here is to really unpack her framework, understand what she's saying about how love works between men and women.
And maybe see why she thinks some women might be, maybe unknowingly, rejecting ideas that could actually help their relationships.
Okay, but just to be clear, we're exploring her ideas from the book, right? We're presenting her viewpoint.
Exactly. Our job is to lay out what she argues, to help you understand it. Not necessarily to say she's right or wrong, but just here's her take.
Got it. So let's start at the beginning. How does Venker actually define this alpha female?
Well, she has a quiz in the book, which is pretty revealing.
Oh, yeah? What kind of questions?
Things like, do you feel out of control if you're not the one in charge? Are you a perfectionist? Maybe an overachiever who finds it hard to let things go?
Okay, I can see how that applies.
And it gets more specific to relationships. Like, do you sometimes feel superior to your husband, think he needs your help with, almost everything?
Like what to wear or how to shop?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Or do you take out your frustrations on him? Just expect him to fall in line with your plans.
What about, nonverbals? Rolling your eyes.
That's in there, too.
Oh.
Rolling eyes, contradicting him often, maybe teasing him in a way that's not really respectful, especially in front of others.
Wow, okay. Needing to be right. Interrupting.
Yep, all those things. And she says if you answer yes to 3 or more, you probably lean towards being an alpha wife, in her definition.
But it's not black and white, is it? She mentions a spectrum.
Totally.
Yeah.
She says her own mom was like an 8. She puts herself as high alpha, mid beta.
And then she uses Kate Goslin as an example of...
Like off the charts, a 15, she says, just to show the extreme end.
So the core problem she identifies is what?
Basically that no man wants a boss or even a competitor at home. That kind of dynamic, she argues, even if it lasts a while, it's eventually going to come crashing down.
Okay. And she had a personal moment that really brought this home for her. The A1 sauce thing.
Oh, yeah, the A1 sauce moment. It's actually kind of funny, but really telling. She found the sauce bottle hidden by her husband's chair.
Hidden. Why?
When she asked, he just said, "You never like it when I use sauce on my food."
Wow. So she realized she was.
Micromanaging him. Right down to his condiments. And he felt he had to hide it just to eat his dinner the way he wanted.
That's something.
And that was her big aha moment. She understood that often when a wife tells her husband what to do, his reaction is basically to dig his heels in and do the opposite.
It sounds so small, but it points to a bigger pattern, maybe. And it wasn't just her. She saw this in her family.
Yeah, she traces it back. Her mom, her grandma, great-grandma, all alpha females in their own right.
And even historical figures, like Eleanor Roosevelt.
She mentions Eleanor Roosevelt, saying she was more admonitory, corrective towards Franklin rather than worshipful. She saw that pattern in herself.
So where does she think this comes from on a bigger scale?
Yeah.
Culturally.
She points towards modern culture and specifically some interpretations of feminism. The message, she argues, became be fiercely independent, hurl demands, never, ever cede control.
Which leads to
a power struggle in marriage, women feeling like they're almost at war with men. She even quotes E.D. Hill, the former news anchor, saying that being so self-reliant put a big strain on her own marriage, which ended.
So the irony is the very thing that helps you succeed professionally
might just land you in a ditch at home. That's her take.
Which brings us to her solutions, these new tools she talks about.
Exactly. And these aren't just quick fixes. She's talking about a real shift in perspective, a whole new approach.
Okay, tool number 1 sounds intense. Wave the white flag.
Yeah.
Seed control. What does that actually look like?
It means moving from dictating to, well, she uses the word doting. Stop telling him what to do all the time.
Doting. Okay. And the analogy she uses.
The power struggle, right. Like
Yeah.
two people grabbing for the same steering wheel in a car, it's chaos.
So her suggestion for the wife is?
Move to the passenger seat, not the back seat. She's clear about that. But the passenger seat, let him drive sometimes.
It's not about giving up power entirely then, but changing how it works in the relationship.
Precisely. Allowing the husband to take the lead in certain areas, she links it back to a deeper issue, too.
It is.
Fear. And an inability to really trust your partner. She says for alpha women, this is often the root.
And trust requires vulnerability.
Exactly. Which she says isn't weakness. It's
Yeah.
essential for love, for intimacy, no vulnerability, no trust, no real connection.
Okay, but if you've built your whole life on being in control, doing the opposite, that's got to feel really weird, uncomfortable.
Oh, absolutely. She knows it's tough. That's why she gives a really practical first step.
What?
For just 1 week, consciously do the opposite of your usual reaction.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so if you normally jump in with your opinion, maybe just say, that's interesting.
Instead of arguing.
Right. Or if you'd complain, try saying something positive. Ask, instead of telling him what to do, use please, thank you.
And say yes more.
Yeah, where you'd automatically say no, try saying yes. It's about breaking that ingrained pattern of opposition or control.
That sounds like a serious challenge. And it hints at something deeper than just behavior, like you need a different mindset too.
Which leads right into her second tool. Decide to stay. Master your attitude.
Okay, this one pushes back against that common idea that, if your marriage isn't making you blissfully happy, you should just bail.
Exactly. She brings in this idea of synthetic happiness from a Harvard scientist, Dan Gilbert.
Synthetic happiness, what's that?
It's the idea that happiness isn't just something that happens when you get what you want. That's natural happiness, and it can be fleeting. Synthetic happiness is what you create yourself by deciding to be happy with what you have, with the choices you've made. And Gilbert argues it can be just as real and lasting.
So you choose to be satisfied.
Basically, yes. Commitment itself can breed satisfaction. It's the opposite of constantly looking for something better.
That green grass syndrome she talks about.
Right. In a world with endless options, it's easy to become a maximizer, always searching, never satisfied. She argues for being a satisficer, finding contentment in what's good enough, what you have.
And she mentions Barry Schwartz.
Yeah, the psychologist who says that when we feel a decision is final, we actually start to feel better about it psychologically. We enhance it in our minds.
Which ties into her point about divorce.
Definitely. She brings up the stats on remarriage failure rates, especially with stepchildren. Over 70% fail, she said.
Oh, that high.
Yeah. So her point is, it's often way more effective to work on the marriage you have than to keep searching for a perfect one that might not exist.
So deciding to stay means mentally taking divorce off the table.
Internally, yes. So you can actually focus your energy on making the current relationship work rather than always having one foot out the door.
Okay, so first tools are about mindset and actions. The next one, learn the dance, seems to be about understanding men and women are different.
Fundamentally different, in her view. And she argues that women often hold all the cards in relationships. They're the navigators.
Navigators. How so?
She says men tend to follow the woman's lead, reacting to her mood, her actions. She uses analogies like women holding the puppet strings.
Or the queen in chess.
Right. The queen is the most powerful piece guiding the king. So women might have more influence than they realize, even if it's indirect.
So what's her take on male nature then? What do men need?
She argues men are simpler in relationships. Their core needs: respect, companionship, and sex.
Okay. Respect, companionship, sex.
And a really deep need to feel useful, to have a purpose, to produce more than they consume.
And what's their reward for that?
Praise, respect, admiration, especially from their partner. That's what fuels them in her view.
And she contrasts this with feminine energy.
Yeah, she talks about masculine energy being about conquering, thinking, acting. Feminine energy is more about nurturing, verbalizing, receiving.
And she connects this to biology, like kids choosing costumes.
Right. Little boys often gravitate towards Superman, she says, or play with toy guns even if parents try to avoid them. She sees these as signs of innate tendencies.
She gives some funny examples of women using this understanding, right?
Yeah, like her Aunt Joan, who basically refused to drive with her husband until he stopped tailgating, or her friend Sally writing letters to her difficult husband.
And the mom in My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Classic example, making the husband think everything is his idea. It's about understanding the psychology, not manipulation in a bad way, but skillful navigation.
So it really comes down to respect, doesn't it, for men?
That's central to her argument. Telling a man what to do, she says, feels like deep disrespect to him, and that throws everything off balance.
Because men generally don't tell their wives what to do.
Right, she says they expect that same respect back. So instead of, you never clean the garage.
Try something like, I'd really love it if we could tackle the garage soon, or I miss seeing the floor in there.
Exactly. Frame it as a positive need or desire, not an accusation.
Okay, that flows right into tool number 4. Own your feminine, your inner beta, if the wife is too masculine.
The husband reacts in one of two ways, she says. Either conflict flares up or he just steps back, withdraws, doesn't engage.
So femininity, for her, isn't just about looks, it's an attitude.
Yes, a state of mind.
Yeah.
Being nice, smiling, being enthusiastic about sex, just radiating a sense of calm.
And she contrasts this with the shrew, the nagging type.
Right, versus someone who is maybe delicate, sensitive, gentle, but still strong underneath. She uses Audrey Hepburn as her feminine ideal, versus Kate Gosselin as the extreme alpha.
It's like society tells women to be tough, exercise that bitch muscle, she puts it.
And vulnerability gets mistaken for being needy or clingy. But Venker argues that embracing that softer feminine side is actually powerful in a marriage.
Because men respond to it, biologically.
That's her claim. She mentions brain structure, how men's visual and spatial regions are supposedly more developed, making them respond strongly to feminine cues, feminine images.
So again, it's not about being passive or a doormat like June Cleaver.
Not at all. It's about letting go of the need to constantly direct everything and everyone in the home, choosing a different mode of interacting.
Okay, embracing the inner beta.
Which really sets the stage for the next tool, number 5. This one really challenges how we think about love itself. Serve for the sake of serving.
Serve. That's a loaded word for many people. What does she mean?
She defines love here as something you give, primarily, putting your partner's needs first, proactively.
And she contrasts how men and women approach this.
Yeah, she argues men are kind of programmed to serve the woman they love. It's natural for them. But culture, she thinks, has taught women never to serve a man, that it's somehow demeaning.
So love isn't a 50-50 transaction for her.
No, it's more like a generous act of giving without keeping score or expecting something immediately back.
And she thinks modern life, maybe having more money or independence, makes this harder.
Right. Wealth can create a sense of entitlement, she suggests. And sacrifice, which she sees as crucial to love, becomes more difficult if you feel you don't have to do it.
The most challenging part seems to be her advice to serve, regardless of his behavior.
Yeah, assuming there's no abuse, of course. Her argument is that this act of serving, of giving, can actually inspire the husband to step up. It's part of that dance she talked about.
She mentions Jennifer Roback Morse.
Right, who realized her feminist perspective had led her to sort of use her husband, always focusing on her own needs instead of his. It was a big shift for her.
But what about resentment? If you feel like you're doing all the giving.
Venker addresses that. She says, first, figure out where the resentment is coming from. Is it really him or just circumstances? Then maybe get some space, but ultimately choose to act lovingly, serve anyway, even if you don't feel like it at that moment.
Don't let feelings dictate actions.
Exactly. Feelings can change, she implies. Actions can actually shape feelings over time, especially when you consistently choose connection over conflict.
Okay, tool 6, this feels like a big one too, has 0 expectations. That sounds bleak.
Huh. Maybe a little. But she means unrealistic expectations, the kind that set you up for constant disappointment.
Like expecting marriage to be a fairy tale.
Totally. She uses that old husband store joke, where the women keep going up floors looking for a better husband, but the top floor is empty because you can't improve on perfection.
Right, highlighting different expectations.
And she slams the whole prince or soulmate myth from rom-coms, says it's just not realistic for long-term love.
She prefers a more pragmatic view, like Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, where things like character and suitability matter more than just passion. Her core point is, Stop expecting marriage itself to make you happy.
That's your own job.
Right. And she tackles the 50-50 marriage idea, too.
She doesn't think it should be 50-50.
Not in terms of identical tasks, more like teamwork, complementary roles, like a business partnership where people have different strengths.
And she uses stats about work hours.
Yeah, showing that while women often do more housework, men often do more work outside the home, and the total hours might actually balance out or even favor men slightly. It's about the combined effort.
So the goal isn't perfect fairness in every task, but overall partnership.
Which leads to acceptance. Lowering the bar from impossible ideals, accepting your husband, flaws and all.
Being prepared for reality, not a fantasy.
And she suggests that act as if strategy again. Act as if he's already the man you want him to be, and maybe he'll rise to meet that image.
Okay, number 7 tackles a really common issue. Don't use money as a weapon.
Yeah, money equals power, right? So it's a huge source of conflict for couples.
She talks about how it used to be, historically.
A bit more balance, she suggests. Maybe the husband handled the big finances, but the wife managed the day-to-day budget, giving her real control over the household spending.
But now with dual incomes,
It changes the dynamic. And she specifically warns about what happens if the wife becomes the primary breadwinner.
why is that potentially problematic in her view?
She argues that for many men, being the provider is deeply tied to their identity, their sense of self-worth. If the wife takes over that role, it can undermine him, feel like a usurpation.
She shared a personal story about her mother and grandmother.
Yeah, during the Depression, her grandmother became the breadwinner when her husband lost his job. This apparently made Venker's mother terrified of scarcity, leading her to hoard money and underspend, which caused tension with her own husband.
And she brings up hypergamy.
Right. The idea, rooted in evolutionary biology, she suggests, that women are often naturally inclined to prefer partners who earn as much or more than they do.
Why would that be?
Historically, it gave women the financial security to potentially stay home and raise children if they chose to. It offered that option.
And she tells a story about a physician, Carrie.
Yeah, hiring doctor married to his stay-at-home dad, and Carrie felt immense stress, jealousy, resentment, a lack of respect. It just wasn't working for them.
Which leads Venker to conclude.
That statistically, the happiest marriages tend to be the more traditional ones, where the husband is the main earner. It's definitely one of her more controversial points.
So, practically, how should couples handle money then?
She's a big advocate for joint bank accounts, for transparency and trust.
But what about personal spending?
Absolutely need a system for that. Maybe agreed upon allowances, separate discretionary accounts, some things so neither partner feels like they have to ask permission to spend their own money. It's about avoiding that power imbalance.
Got it. Tool number 8 sounds simple, but maybe isn't. Stop saying no.
Deceptively simple, yeah. It's about the power of agreement, of saying yes or okay more often.
She quotes Dale Carnegie.
Right. Saying no creates this physiological rejection, closing off. Saying yes creates openness.
And she changed her own behavior.
Dramatically, she says. Things like life insurance discussions, planning dates. Instead of arguing her point immediately, she started just agreeing. Sounds great. Or good idea.
Shifting from a debate to a conversation.
Exactly. Men, she argues, want to feel heard and affirmed, not constantly challenged.
And she makes that distinction between being a mother and a wife.
Yeah, a crucial one for her. Saying no is part and parcel of being a mother, she writes, but it is not part and parcel of being a wife.
Because constant no's make a man feel.
Like his judgment is bad. Like he doesn't know what he's doing. It undermines his confidence, in her view.
Okay, tool 9. Speak less. You'll say more. This goes against the grain, too. Isn't more communication always better?
Not necessarily, according to Venker. She highlights the huge difference in how much men and women typically talk.
Women talk more.
Significantly more. She says like 13,000 words more per day on average. Men tend to be quieter, think before speaking, get to the bottom line.
She uses a movie example. Aloha.
Yeah, where a character communicates a lot through silence and body language, and someone points out how men can speak volumes without words.
So silence isn't necessarily bad.
It can be powerful. And men, she claims, are often more attuned to nonverbal cues anyway. That's their language.
So her advice for wives is,
Become a better listener. Filter your thoughts a bit. Don't overwhelm him with every single minor worry or complaint from your day.
and when you do need to talk or ask for something,
Choose your time wisely, when he's receptive, get straight to the point, bottom line it, and
Yep.
then wait. Give him space to process.
and for asking for change.
Frame it positively. State the need clearly. And again, Be patient. Let it sink in. It's about quality over quantity.
Okay, last tool. Number 10, a big one. Get busy in the bedroom.
Yes, she definitely emphasizes this one. Tackles the different sexual needs head on.
Using the Annie Hall joke.
Right, where they both say 3 times a week, but for her it's hardly ever, and for him it's all the time. It highlights the different perspectives.
And her take is that for men, sex is,
Fundamental. She says they're prone to have sex. It's their number one mode of communication, how they feel loved and connected.
so physical intimacy isn't just about physical release for men.
Not just that, it's a core way they experience affirmation and closeness in the relationship, she argues.
And she stresses regularity, even if you're not in the mood.
Yeah, she actually suggests using sex to get in a better mood because it releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone.
And denying sex is
Like him refusing to talk to you for weeks, it's that significant a withdrawal of connection from her perspective.
She acknowledges women often need more warm-up, find it harder to switch gears emotionally.
Yes, she gets that. But notes men often don't operate the same way. She encourages wives to initiate sometimes, but maybe in a way that appeals more directly to men.
Like being sexy rather than just talking about it.
Exactly. She gives an example of meeting her husband at the door wearing something sexy instead of launching into a discussion. Appeal to the visual, the direct.
And this all ties back to the overall relationship dynamic she's described.
Absolutely. She believes passion thrives when the man feels respected, allowed to lead, to be the more dominant partner in that intimate space.
She even brings up 50 Shades of Grey.
As a cultural signpost, yeah.
Yeah.
Suggesting that maybe, despite cultural narratives about equality in all things, there's an underlying female desire to be, in some sense, taken or tamed in that context. It's definitely a provocative read on it.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this all up, the core message for an alpha female wanting a successful marriage, according to Venker, is a pretty radical shift.
It really is. It's about consciously adopting these new tools, dialing back the alpha at home, and activating that inner beta.
Choosing connection and harmony over control and power struggles within the marriage.
Right. Choosing love, as she defines it, over winning.
Which leaves us with a pretty potent question to think about, doesn't it?
It does. If that alpha drive, the thing that brings success professionally, potentially creates conflict personally, what's the real cost?
What's the true price of happiness across your whole life, not just one part of it? And maybe what choices are you willing to make to create the kind of marriage you actually want?
Something to definitely mull over.